Well, let's run another template. I'll go File and New, and I'll pick this one called Flexible and open it up. What it does is provide some symbols on the right and a chance to create a drawing here. So let's firstly change the background colour to white, which will make things a little more easy to see. We'll use the line command and draw a line, say, in the middle of the area on the right, on the left, and I'll click and I'll hit exit and select that line. Now you get a different result here whether you're working in metric or the USA. Here the length is nearly 10 meters, so I could edit and make it 5 meters if I wished, like so. I could then use the line command again, and gCADPlus has a number of what are called entity snaps. So I could, and let's float the entity snap toolbar here, I could pick up the midpoint and I could draw a line from the midpoint vertically up. Because I've got polar on, you may be able to see that as I move to the vertical position, it just clicks into position, so I'm pointing straight up. This time I could type 3500 and hit enter and then exit. If I select that line, you can see its length 3500 and its angle is 90. gCADPlus works with angle 0 to the right, 90 straight up, and 180 to the left, just like a protractor. If I now click on a symbol at the right, I could drag it into position. In fact, I could drag several of these symbols into position, so in a sense I'm creating a landscape design here. I'll remove this piece of text, select it, and then erase it. If you wanted to insert a symbol that's not part of the symbols on the right hand side here, you can go to Library and Plants and say Standard, and here is a set of standard symbols, so I can scroll down. I get a preview on the right. I can say I'm going to open that one, and I'm going to say I'll insert it into this drawing and pop it down. So we can drag symbols from the right, put them into position, or bring a whole host of new symbols into the drawing from the library. And you'll notice in the gCADPlus, in the library plants, there are some named plants, compound plants, groups of plants, and so on. So if we go into the groups, there's a group of ground covers, a group of elevation, and a group of what are loosely called compound symbols. So there are lots in that group. So you can browse your way, so you can pick up many symbols from the library. Well, now that we've thrown some lines in and moved some symbols around, let's have a little look at the gCADPlus interface and how you move around in a piece of design work. Always click into that drawing area and your mouse pointer will change to a crosshair cursor with a little target box on it. You can't do very much just with the mouse pointer showing. You need that cursor. First thing to experiment with is use the wheel of your mouse. Position your cursor somewhere over an area of interest and roll the wheel away from you. Can you see that we're magnifying the drawing? If we roll back towards us, we're shrinking the design. Remember, the bits on the left are the ones we've put in. These on the right were there already preloaded in the template, but we're concentrating on building our own design. If we want to pan, which is akin to putting your hand down on a sheet of paper and dragging in one direction, hold the wheel of the mouse down and keep it down. The crosshairs change to a hand symbol, and as you drag, you are panning the design around. So you do have to manage those and be confident in managing those. The other thing to notice is that if you right click, you pop up a series of the last commands that you've used. We used distance and erase and move earlier, and we used the blocks command or instruction when we brought that green symbol in from the library. When that pops up as a horizontal line about 2/3 of the way down, you have some view options. Zoom Extents pushes the whole drawing out to show you the design at its maximum. Right click and zoom window means you're asked for the first corner and the second corner, whatever's inside the box will be zoomed, and there's a zoom previous as well. The drafting settings that you see here give you access to your grid settings and how you're going to track movement and how you're going to work the object snap. We've already played with the midpoint one, but we'll cancel from there. Using object snap takes a little time to learn. We're concentrating here on the drawing interface, how you move around. So we're managing our movement in the drawing. Don't forget, click on the layout tab. Whatever we do in this environment, provided that this viewport, it's called this floating viewport, I'm going to change its colour, the colour of the line that represents it from white to a darker colour, because white on a white background didn't show. Whatever we do in the model will be reflected. Here's a line which you may remember was showing. Let's pick that line. This time I'm going to hit the delete key on the keyboard. And if we go back to the layout, the floating viewport shows, but the line no longer shows because we erased it. So here's our model. So to sum up, we have a properties box on the left. Under the properties box we have a layers box. I've got a layer called plant construction, and there's a little greyed out area where the light bulb is darkened. I can get at that same set of layers here by clicking on that layer stack. And we've got a layer called plant construction. Let's turn it on and see what happens. If we zoom in now on the drawing, in this particular symbol here, we get a little cross marking the middle and a black line around the outside. We could turn off one of the other layers and just show that. That would be useful for the construction team. For the moment I'm going to go back there and turn off the construction layer. So the properties box on the left is important. We've already spoken about the command line area where messages from gCADPlus to you, helpful messages, will appear. We've briefly touched on these toolbars. There are quite a lot of toolbars. There's a standard toolbar, a dimension toolbar, that's this one here. This one here will have some so-called drawing primitives, and you can draw a line by picking the line option, right click and exit. If you wanted to draw a rectangle, you pick the rectangle one. So this toolbar contains all of the drawing primitives they're referred to as, but they're also available here on the draw drop-down menu. So if I wanted to put some text in as single line text, I say this is text. That will go in capital letters. We pop it in, and as we drag and move our mouse, we size, and then if we hit enter, so we put some text in. Every entity that you put in a drawing has properties, and that'll show in the properties box on the left when you select the entity. This is a rectangle entity and shows as such in the toolbar. We'll have a brief look now at the specialist landscape menu. That's the gCADPlus menu. This is what you use to set up plant schedules and lists, and there's broad scale planting and extracting information. There are many specialist options as you move down your way down through the gCADPlus drop-down menu, but there are other drop-down menus. The library one we've already touched briefly on. There's a tools menu to do all sorts of things. The modify menu helps you edit entities in the drawing. The dimension menu allows you to apply dimensions to lines, arcs, circles and so on. The draw drop-down menu we've mentioned already. The format helps you create layouts, change line weights, change colours and set and load images into your drawing to illustrate design concepts. And the view menu we've also mentioned. Edit is the traditional and familiar Windows. I would like to mention at this point though, there's a copy here. Notice that in the modifier we've also got a copy, and the two are quite different. If you pick this symbol here and say edit copy, or use Control C, then go Control V or paste, can you see that the object you selected is copied, but we're asked to put it down somewhere, and the object is not anchored at the center point. Contrast that with, let me erase that one, contrast that with modify and copy. The prompt says select the object. We then hit the enter key. We're asked for a base point, and we can mark a point in the middle and just move with precision. We can even, if we wanted to, move to the end point of that line, or if we had used draw circle, center radius, and we'd set a circle at the end point, say, of that line and dragged out. There's our circle. We could move this symbol or copy this symbol. Let's move it from its midpoint there, and we could use the Entity Snap Center option. And you can see the highlighter locks right into the center of the circle. Can you see we get precision when we use copy, the proper CAD copy, whereas if we just do a Control C and a Control V, we have no control over the final location. So I hope now you're a little comfortable moving in and around in the gCADPlus environment.